Hey everybody, welcome back to the Cigar Advisors podcast. I am John here with my co-host Matt.
Hey there, I'm Matt.
Hey,
Ready to
what's up,
to
Matt?
bust this episode out.
So, what's going on today? How you
Pretty
doing?
good. How about you?
Doing all right. Productive day. Making a lot of food for a party on Saturday, but doing all right.
Yeah. What's
How's
the
your day?
party?
It was a Halloween party. A couple of my friends, Jake. He has his yearly Jake-oween party.
Oh, I see.
So
Yeah, I'm not offended that I'm not invited, so don't worry.
It's okay. I'm not offended either.
I actually do have a really cool party to go to tomorrow. I think I showed you that my buddy made like a video for his Halloween party, and he's got like a production crew coming and everything. It's gonna be sick. So I'll post some pictures on Facebook and stuff of how it goes in my outfit.
I need to remind myself that next year, because I've done this for the past 2 years at this Christmas party or this Halloween party, to pick an outfit where I don't have to wear a mask, regardless of how cool the mask is, because John, you're a dumbass. We live in Florida, so
it's gonna be hot.
I'm not gonna take that mask off in the first 5 minutes that I'm there.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we're doing Greece because this is it's a family party, so there's all the kids and stuff. So I'm John Travolta-ing it up, and then Precious and Michaela are gonna be Pink Ladies. So, what are you smoking? What are you drinking?
Today I am smoking the Aganorsa Leaf Casa Fernandez Maduro.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I believe it's a Gordo size. I picked this up, I think the last time we were at Cigars International together.
Yeah.
This is the one I think I bought for the guy that we met there.
Yeah.
Because remember, he bought me a drink, so I bought him a cigar.
Yeah.
So
he was cool. I like that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not smoking because I'm inside and I got in trouble the last time. But it's pouring down rain outside, so that's not happening. Because that was my original plan.
Yeah. I'm fortunate. I was actually worried that the rain would hit over here, so pretty fortunate that it didn't swing by this way.
No,
we had some clouds, but I wasn't sure if it was actually going to hit or not.
Instead, it came this way. I thought I was in the clear, and because it was around 6 o'clock when I had to go drop off, the kid at cheer, and skies were fine. I get home and I actually went upstairs to go get my stuff, and next thing I know, pouring down rain, just out of nowhere. Florida, that's the way it goes.
Yeah. As far as my drink, I'm just drinking Diet Pepsi. I forgot to go to the store and get something sugary, so hopefully my cigar and drink choice don't make me
just
sick.
Inhale real deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there really isn't much on the news front that I saw during the week as far as cigar content goes.
Yeah.
But a couple of pretty cool cigar announcements, product announcements. So if you want to go through the first couple, I'll go through the last couple.
Yeah, the Drew Estate, the girl with no name. That one's pretty cool. I just that's very Game of Thrones to me, and since I'm into that lately, I really like that one, and that's a Toro. It's like $10 a cigar. You can get it in a box of 20, and it's actually exclusive only to Cigars International, which I think is kind of cool. I mean, at least they're so big, most people can get it, or you can get it shipped to you. So that's pretty good,
Yeah,
and that's actually going to come out on November 1st. So I'm excited for
gotcha.
that one just because of the name alone.
Have you had any of the Deadwood series of cigars by Drew Estate?
I haven't. I mean, I've had Drew Estate cigars, but nothing from the Deadwood line. How about you?
Yeah. Same here. I've been wanting to, like, every time I go to the cigar shop, I do, like, it's one of those things like that has caught my eye, but like I've never like picked one up.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think next time I go to CI, I'm gonna pick up all of them because just so I could try them out.
Yeah.
Like there's the Crazy Alice, the Fat Bottom Betty. Now the girl with the name. There's another one I don't remember the name of, but various sizes, vitolas and such. So, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like the names are very creative, which sadly, the names in the band are what make me buy a cigar. Like if I'm trying to choose between the billion of them that are on a wall, I'm gonna pick by the band and the name.
the
I'm
prettiest
basic.
one.
Yep. The next one is from Room 101, and that's actually going to be a 12th year anniversary Perfecto cigar. It is limited release. Um, that that I think I'm really gonna like. Um, it's a little bit higher of a price point than the Drew Estate one. So you're looking at like $16 a cigar. I mean, obviously depending on where you're at, but $16 a cigar, and they come in boxes of tens. And those are also going to be very limited. So they're only making like 450 boxes of those. So
Yeah,
get them while you can. I definitely plan on trying to get at least one box.
yeah. And so the last two are very similar products. One is made by Oliva, and the other one is made by Tatuaje. Both those companies are releasing their holiday calendar with their advent calendar of cigars. So the Oliva is it's probably founded under the 2022 Oliva holiday calendar. It comes in total of 25 cigars, variety of styles, vitolas, strengths, and blends. It includes a very cool torch lighter um, that I've seen on a couple of videos that was reviewing this box. It is available
Mhm.
now, and the MSRP is $220. But you get a lot of not a lot, but there is a handful of cigars in this run that um, are exclusive for this box. Um, I think like there's a few cigars, like one of the Serie V's in a Vitola that it normally doesn't come in. So for those people that like collecting cigars, this might be the only chance that you get a few of these cigars in special Vitolas. As far as the Tatuaje, there are two different types of holiday calendars. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, they weren't able to release their 2021 holiday calendar. So they decided to release two calendars this year. So one is the green box, which is their 2021 line, and then the blue box, which is the 2022 line. Both boxes come with 24 cigars. All the cigars are also like lots of varieties. They're all though 4.5 by 46, and MSRP of $200. And that's kind of all the releases that you know I saw that was kind of interesting this week. Obviously, there's many other announcements of cigar companies releasing like new cigars, new lines. Some companies are like updating their bands. and stuff like that.
So let me just say how glad I am that you talked about that last one, because my redneck Southern twang would have not gotten that right at all.
Oh, Tatuaje.
Even hearing it, nope, no. If I would have had to talk about that, we would have been talking about Tatuigi or Tatawaji probably for the last 10 minutes. So, and as I'm talking, I don't listen. So, even if you tried to correct me, nope, it would have kept going. And even worse is for the longest time, Oliva, I was calling it Olivia, which
You didn't notice that there's an eye missing there.
Nah. In my head, it had an eye. Yeah, definitely had like Room 101, easy. I got that. I can pronounce that all day long. Even when we get to some Drew Estate, I'm good. But then when we start getting into like the different names of sizes, nah. Like I'm great with like
the Vitolas, like Toros
no.
and Gordos, Perfectos. Yeah.
So
I'm the
Gordo,
nerd. Like when it comes to like that stuff, like I'm the nerd in regards to like, oh, a Toro is this size or a Perfecto is in this shape, like this is the Vitolas and yada yada yada. This is the wrapper it has. This is what the binder and filler like. Me, I jump head first into like that kind of stuff.
All the knowledge first, reading everything.
You just like to collect all the stuff.
Yeah,
I'm the one that likes to talk about it.
I want to collect it, do it, have it, see what it's like, jump into the pool head first. It's but there are like some crazy names out there. I mean, like, I'm glad that I know the ones that are at least popular, so I don't sound like too much of an idiot, like Monte Cristo and
Cohiba and Romeo and Juliet.
Yep. So
Punch.
Punch is an easy one. That is, that's Southern twang friendly, thank God.
Yeah. My father.
Oh gosh, what was the other one? There was another one, and it's my favorite cigar. We talked about on the last episode. It's
Arto Fuente Opus X.
No, that's by far my favorite. This is one that you and I had together. Hoya.
So Hoya de Nicaragua.
After
you used to call it Joya.
Yep, after we had that, I legit went into Corona over in Orlando, downtown Orlando, and I said, "I'm looking for this cigar called Joya," and the guy looked at me. He's like, "We don't have those here." So I had to show him the band, and he corrected me, and that sucked.
Oh, geez.
That
must have been an entertaining encounter.
Not for
sir,
me.
It's Hoya, not Joya.
It'll forever be
Can
Joya.
I get a gyro?
So I do say that. Like, other people say gyro.
No one says gyro.
No?
They say euro.
No, I've heard hero.
That's just you,
no,
brother.
Hero is a hero sub something different?
A hero sub is something different. That's what they call a sub in like New Jersey or New York. A hero or a grinder is another term for that sub.
Forget all that.
But
I'm sticking with my BLT.
Yeah, a euro, you say it like YEERO, euro.
Yeah. So in the English language, G is pronounced G. Yeah. Look at that. I'm offending everybody on every continent. I don't just stick to one.
Let's get into the main.
Okay, yeah, we're off topic.
Let's get into the main meat of the podcast tonight. So today we're going to talk about cigar cutters, something very basic that you technically don't need as a smart cigar smoker, but it does make your life a little easier. There are some cigar smokers, like a lot of the cigar makers and stuff, they don't use cutters. They just use their fingernail and they just peel off the cap. But most people use
Would
cigar
you say they
cutters to
bite the
cut their
tip?
cigars. Maybe,
Would,
maybe, or they they
it's
just they
not.
just flick the tip.
Yeah. Would you say it's an okay thing to
Yeah,
bite the tip?
I mean, if that's the way you swing, sure.
Okay,
So,
sorry. Back on topic.
like I said, a lot of the people that have smoked cigars for many many years, they don't even cut their cigars. They just take off the cap with their fingernail or whatever. But there are very many ways to cut your cigar. So, me and Matt go through all the ways to cut your cigar, and we'll explain our favorite. So, the first way to cut your cigar is the old fashioned straight cutter. So, I have a straight cutter here by Durastate. My straight cutter is a little bit different because it doesn't have a hole in the middle. Some straight cutters have a hole in the middle where you put your cigar, you can see on the other side. That way, you're just cutting off the cap. Um, this one has a stop in the back, so you just set the cap of the cigar here, and it's got that stop there, and it will cut exactly what you need off the back of your cigar.
All right. I mean,
Matt?
I would say straight cutting is probably how we cut our cigars 99% of the time.
Most of the time.
Okay. Yeah, most time. Maybe not 90.
And the thing with,
probably 70.
yeah, and the thing with a straight cut, it's the most versatile cut because it doesn't matter if you are smoking a
like Perfecto?
Toro or Perfecto or whatever shape or whatever size, it will cut your cigar. As long as the ring gauge on the straight cutter is large enough, it will cut your cigar. So it is one of the most universal cutters. Um, and that's the reason why typically every cigar smoker has a straight cutter.
Yeah, I actually don't have mine upstairs because I've got one in my bag and one in my car. And I think there's one actually attached to one of my little, kind of cigar carrying. I like the leather case. So I don't have mine upstairs, but I do have actually, I don't want to talk about this one yet because it's my favorite. So I want to save it for last. I want to talk about punch.
So punch. I don't particularly like the punch.
Yeah, same.
I only like the punch in a certain circumstance, and I typically think that most people use punch cutters in the same circumstance. It's usually when you're cutting a box press cigar. So for those that don't know, there are certain cigars that consider box press. So they're put in the box while they're a little bit moist, for a lack of better term, and they are pressed into a. It's all moist, the whole shebang, and it is pressed into a specific shape. Versus most cigars are cylindrical. So box press will take the shape of whatever box that they put it in and press it. Typically, it's a square or a rectangle. I've seen some other companies do some like crazy like shapes, like Placencia. I think has like an octagon or something like that. Or
they have an octagon one.
Yeah. So
I feel like Olivia has a lot of box press. Like it can be kind
yeah, I guess so.
Like when I'm looking,
I feel like I think they do a box press of most of their like early lines. A lot of their like newer stuff that they're doing like now, like the Series V and stuff like that, I don't think I've run across the box press yet.
Okay.
So it might exist.
I'm
I
keeping
mean,
my
I
eye out
don't
just to
know,
see
but
because I'm
like
curious. You know.
again, like a box press cigar isn't something typically I'm seeking out. Um,
Yeah, I actually kind of like a box press, um, just because it is kind of an oddity, and that's my style of things. Like I like things that are different and rare. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, definitely a punch for that type of particular cigar. My biggest problem with a punch is I feel like I don't get the right draw, so then I end up having to like open, like I punch and then I punch again, or I'll punch like a third time, to join the three circles together or the two circles together just to try to get that right draw, and it's messy. Like it doesn't sit right.
it can be, especially if like you're cutting too deep into the cigar, because you're only supposed to cut into the cap.
Yeah.
So for me, when I use a punch cutter, I make sure I'm only going as deep as that cap leaf at the top,
Mhm.
and um, make sure that it's at the very center of the cigar. Because if you are off, then it draws kind of weird. So
Yeah.
again, that's the reason why most of the time I use a straight cut, because that's like you get, for me, you get the best draw from a straight cut.
Right.
But yeah, and I mean, to go along the lines of a straight cut, another tool that also accomplishes the same thing as a straight cut are cigar scissors.
Hmm.
Now, I haven't used cigar scissors. I've seen people use cigar scissors before. Very much like the straight cut, you are just cutting off the cap of the cigar. Um, I feel like it would be nice to use them because, like, you can visually see better than you would with a straight cut sometimes. Like sometimes if you're not really paying attention to a straight cut, or you don't have a cutter that has a backing like mine does, you can cut off too much, and then like your cigar will start unraveling. But with the cigar scissors, I feel like you can like make sure that you're only taking off what you need to on that cigar.
Yeah. And so the only other one that I'm familiar with is going to be the V cutter. This is actually my one of my favorite cutters. Yeah, there we go. Libri. They make amazing cutters. I highly recommend this for everyone. I mean, it's got this like cool snap action thing, but um, V cutting a cigar, in my opinion, like the straight cut, seems to give me the best draw. It opens up a lot of surface area, and I really enjoy a good V cut. Um,
Now, are you specifically a straight V cutter, or do you do the crown cut that some people
so
do?
I was getting ready to talk
Now,
about
what
that.
what the crown cut is? Yeah, for
Yep.
people don't know what a crown cut is. I'll let Matt explain it since it's his favorite cutter.
So crown cutting, there's a couple different methods. Mine, I think, is the best because I'm the one that does it. Um, is you take your cigar and you make a V cut, and you turn it slightly and make another V cut. Now, some people stop at that, with just two V cuts, and that's fine. But the true crown cut needs to be a third, and you cut it once more. The problem is, just like what John was saying, where it has the backing on his, this also has a backing. So you can't, when you're doing the crown cut, you have to be, a little artistic with it and make sure you're not hitting that back end. So you don't want to drive it in deep. Like you don't want to go deep every single time. Um, because what it'll do is just create a very uneven crown cut. So you'll want to just watch where it's cutting at, and cut it right. I don't feel that there's a whole lot of big benefit to doing it. But I do. I being in cigars and in whiskeys and bourbons. going to cigar lounges, I like the gentleman side of it, right? And there's something to a crown cut that accomplishes that for me. Like, I think that's why I like the crown cut. You know, that's just me.
Do you always do a triple crown cut, or do you normally stick with 2?
I either do V or triple. I typically don't do just 2.
Do you ever come across the situation with the triple crown that like you cut off too much of the cap and then you start getting a mouthful of like tobacco?
Yeah, at first.
Because I think for me, that's probably what would happen to me
when I was first cutting them.
To be honest.
And my first one that I tried to do was stupid. I was at a cigar lounge with some buddies up here, and they did it. So I was going to be cool like them, and I start cutting into this $25 cigar. Not the brightest thing. And yes, it started unraveling. I tried to play it cool, and stuff's all in my teeth. It didn't really work out. So I actually went home, and out of some bulk cigars that I had, I practiced. I had it pretty good by 3, so I only messed up a total of 4 cigars. Yeah,
that's funny.
that yeah, not my. We seem to talk about my worst moments on these podcasts. Yeah, episode 3. I mean, get away from that.
I mean, I don't have any bad moments, so
like, we talk about Matt being an idiot.
and Matt pronouncing names incorrectly, like
Olivia, Tatooine or whatever.
Joya.
Yep, Joya. Good old Joya. That was really the worst. I like walking into Corona, and the guy was like, he was a big beefy guy, like manly. I mean, it sucked. He had a big cigar like sitting in the side, like very oh man, it sucked. Like, it really sucked. And it's like, we don't have those.
They were going in there like, I'm gonna go inside here and get a cigar. Hey, can I get a Joya?
Yep.
Yeah. He just looks at you like, oh, what?
Yeah, that was actually the same day, the very first time I had an Opus X. So, I mean, overall, the day was a win. If I had to look like an idiot to have that kind of win, cool.
That's true.
So
I don't think there are any other ways to cut a cigar. I mean,
no.
Actually, I take that back. There is another tool to use that's recently new to me, but I know that it's not new in the industry. Cigar knives.
Oh yes, so that's one I don't.
So there. Yeah, I don't have one either. So cigar knives are basically, they look like pocket knives, except they have a little indentation at the part where the knife actually closes. So I've always wanted to get one, but like all the ones that I like are way too expensive. So I'm like, well, not getting that one. So
yeah, they kind of remind me of the thing with lasers, like the
yeah, definitely
straight blades.
Yeah, definitely. And that's another thing with cigar cutters. You don't have to spend a lot of money to get a good cigar cutter. You can get a cheapo $2 like straight cutter plastic. That blade will cut a cigar like 300 times before that blade ever even even shows signs of dulling. So I don't want people to think that like you need a fancy cigar cutter to enjoy a cigar. Like I said, a lot of people in the industry literally just use their fingernails to peel off the cap. So like when I first started smoking cigars, yeah, every lounge has a cutter that you can use. Like, just make sure you're not licking the cigar before you use the community community cutter.
You see people do that, so gross.
Yeah, if you ever see someone licking their cigar and then using their own personal cutter, don't ever borrow that cutter because that's nasty.
Yeah, that's pretty gross. And I don't like okay, so I've done it, but with my own personal cutter, and I didn't see any difference in the cut. Like it didn't make a difference. I mean, it really, even when I use a cutter, I mean, maybe all my cutters are sharp. I don't know, but even when I've used like when I tried it and I did the little when I was sucking on the tip and cutting it, it didn't make any difference in the cut for me. No difference at all. So let's see. We've talked about the Drew Estate, the Room 101, the Oliva, and then of course like the Drew Estate, the Girl with No Name, which reminds me of Game of Thrones. Have you started House of Dragons? Did you finish Game of Thrones? Where are you at?
So finish the Game of Thrones series.
Okay. So
as most people, go ahead.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't feel like House of Dragons would be as good as it is without Game of Thrones.
I would agree with you. I would agree with you if it weren't for the last couple of seasons of Game of Thrones. Because you even have to admit, as a Game of Thrones fan, that the last, like, let's say 2 seasons were kind of shit. Like, they were rushed because the people, and it's not they weren't rushed because of HBO not wanting to take their time in doing it. They were rushed because of the 2 producers or directors. I forgot what their names are. I think DB Weiss and Benioff or something like that. And because they had a project lined up with Disney to do their own Star Wars trilogy, and so they wanted to wrap up Game of Thrones so they could start working on that. And at least that's what the rumor is. And
so I didn't know
what we got from the end of Game of Thrones. Yeah. So
I had no idea about that.
because George R.R. Martin specifically, I believe, said that like in order to like tell the story properly, like it had to be a specific length. And they rushed those last 2 seasons. I think it was like one was like 10 episodes, one was like 8, or maybe 8 and 6 or something like that. So everything was rushed, and it happened the way it happened. I mean,
yeah. But so was it still written this? Because okay, I'm not a book reader. I mean, obviously, because I can't pronounce words. So was the way that it ended with Jon Snow, killing her off? Is that how it happened in the books?
So it hasn't happened yet in the books.
Oh,
like in the books, I don't believe we even know that Jon Snow yet is Aegon Targaryen.
Really?
I think it's hinted at it. Yeah, it's because George R.R. Martin takes a long time to write his books. His next book is supposed to be, I think, Winds of Winter, and he's been working on that for like years. And I think he posted an update that he's like 1/3 or 3/4 of the way through writing that book. Mm-hmm. So Weiss and Benioff had to get what happened in the last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones, from George R.R. Martin. I don't even think they had I don't think even the Hodor thing is written yet.
I see.
Like that reveal.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's another thing. Like the show went so fast that it bypassed the book. And the good thing about House of Dragon, in my opinion, is that the source material is already finished. So like there's a book called Fire and Blood, which is what House of Dragons is based off of, And George R. R. Martin is heavily in the, I don't want to say heavily, but I think he's like more involved in the production side of things. And he said in order to do House of Dragon correctly, you need to do 5 seasons with 10 episodes each, I believe is what he stated.
So when I think of these writers, and can you imagine having a mind like them?
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
Interrupted. No, I agree with you. Like, like people like J.K. Rowling that made that whole like to make an entire universe out of something like out of your mind, like George R. R. Martin and the way he writes Game of Thrones. Like each chapter is focused on a specific person in Game of Thrones. Is the way that he writes it. J.K. Rowling with the Harry Potter series, and then the stuff that followed after that. Even like, what's his name that made Dune? Like to be able to create a world and put it on the paper is amazing.
And because people that geek out about this stuff, Harry Potter, and so like Harry Potter's a really good example because Universal made that whole Harry Potter area, and if Universal had messed up some details, the people who geek out over it would have been all over it and they wouldn't have wanted to go, but it was done so well. No. But it's amazing to me how these writers can make these entire universes, this backlog of lore. It's really amazing. I like, my mind doesn't work that way, so it's so cool to see that.
There was one time in a future life that I wanted to be a creative writer and do something on that scale, but the time has passed.
No, dude,
I don't think my mind can come up with an idea, like an original idea.
Pop some shrooms and go at it.
So, like, have you finished House of Dragon? Like, what do you think of it so far?
I finished it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 3 episodes behind, so
I definitely won't spoil it for you.
I mean, I already know what happens because I'm the type of person that like I don't care about spoilers, and I watch YouTube all day. So there are a couple people that like do like top 10 things that happen in this episode of Game of Thrones, and I can't help myself from not watching it. So I know what happens.
It's really good. I really liked it. I mean, there were some things that I thought was stupid. There's one scene, since we're gonna spoil it for everyone, where
spoilers, everybody.
Yeah,
if you haven't watched,
you don't want to
the
watch
end of House of Dragon,
or at least hit like the like button or the subscribe before you turn this off. To all 3 of you watching, yeah, like there's a death scene and someone witnesses this person's death, and it's a very important death, but the last words that are said and all that, it added a lot to the story and it gave a lot of reason behind some things, but I just felt there could have been some better ways of doing it that were kind of more Game of Thrones. Like when Robert Baratheon died, there was ink on paper, there was written script, there were some other facts to back things up, and it made it really cool. With this particular death, it was just someone's word against everybody else's, and I was like, it's kind of, I don't know. I just felt like it could have been done better. It was still good. It was still.
You're talking about the bedroom scene or whatever.
Yeah, the bedroom scene. All of the bedroom scene could have been done better.
I think that's the reason why they like this war has come to head. Like, I think it does. I feel like I'm the opposite of you because I wasn't sure how this war was going to start because Alicent is very like follow the rules, and obviously she has a lot of like problems with Rhaenyra, but I think it kind of, and I haven't read Fire and Blood, so I don't know if this is the way that it played out. But her, like, because if you go down the line of Targaryens, it's not like their names are all fucking the same. Like Daemon,
Right.
Aemond, Aegon the first, Aegon the second, Viserys the second. So like, Alicent had an Aegon son, and so did Rhaenyra. So like, I feel like, and the thing is, like, he wasn't talking about, like, when he was in his deathbed, Viserys wasn't talking about and either of their sons.
Right.
He
He
was
was talking about
specifically
that
referring. Right, he's talking about the
the
dragon
legend.
dream. He was.
Yeah.
He's talking about the legend of the prince that was promised, that goes back to the
Which
Game
is
of
really
Thrones.
Jon
He's
Snow.
basically, yeah, which is basically he's
Right.
talking about Jon Snow. Yeah, because he didn't know when this whole thing was going to play out with, the White Walkers breaking down the
Right.
wall and the Night King coming down and stuff like that. So like, I do like how they tied that all together, like that this is this legend that's been passed down from Targaryen to Targaryen, and that this prophecy will come to pass, but nobody knows when it's going to happen. Obviously, Viserys thinks it's going to happen during either his lifetime or like the lifetime of his children or his daughter or whatever. So that's why it's being passed down. And it's funny because nobody else knows that story aside from his daughter. So like, he never told Alicent this. He never told his son Aegon the second. He never told it to his brother. His brother found out from Rhaenyra eventually. So like, this is like a secret that he kept down, and he gave it to the person that was next in line for the throne, which was his daughter. And so I think when he was on his deathbed, like spewing whatever, of course Alicent misinterpreted it that way, but then like, you could see that like she was conflicted as well, because, a lot of people pledged their allegiance to his
Right.
daughter. So she wanted to like follow it, but her dad's a dick. So damn you, Otto Hightower.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if you noticed, because I've actually now watched the season 3 times. And
Of House of Dragon?
Yeah, I know. I spend a lot of time in the car.
How do you
like? It's an hour and a half drive every day, so I commute an hour and a half to work every day. So yeah, I've watched it several times over, and on round 3, I don't know if you noticed, but Daemon, when he's fighting the Crab King, I think is what they called him.
Crab feeder? Yeah.
That guy had grayscale, and Daemon was grabbing his arm. So is Daemon gonna get grayscale, or are the Targaryens immune to it?
That I don't know. I don't want to say that they're immune to it. Just like the whole thing about like Targaryens controlling dragons, I don't think they really control them. I think they have like a mutual bond with them. But as you saw in the last scene of Game of Thrones, they don't really control them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if the dragon feels threatened, they're gonna do what dragons do and burn shit.
Yeah.
So, and I think it was good to see that, like, yeah, dragons do have a bond with their current rider,
Right.
but like, just because you tell your dragon like, hey, don't do that, doesn't mean the dragon's gonna like listen to you.
Yeah, they're still a beast, which is, I think, really cool the way that's written, played out. I like that they did that. Like, to know
I feel like
beast.
Daenerys had more control of her dragons because she brought them up on her own.
Yeah.
Like, because she didn't have a dragon pit. She didn't have all those people that like raise the dragons. So like,
right.
She raised her dragons from when they were egg all the way up till adulthood. So I feel like maybe the bond with her dragons was more fluid and understanding versus like the ones in this present timeline where dragons are aplenty. So
yeah. Well, I mean, there was a time where she always had control of them, but they were acting out as dragons. I don't remember where they were really at, but I do remember that it was
I think it was
during, one of the
I think I
times.
know what you're going to talk about. It was like Essos, right? And like they were like killing the livestock and shit.
Yes, livestock and a kid. Dragon ate up a little girl.
Killed because of it.
Yep. Yeah, the guy brought it to the steps, but then she punished them. Like, which
Chained him
maybe
up.
that's what made them such good boys.
Ornery. Medulla
Yeah.
oblongata.
But I really like it. I like it a lot. I think it's great. It's I've watched it 3 times, so I obviously think it's pretty good.
I am hoping that they follow George R. R. Martin's suggestion that like, hey, if you want this show to be popular, and if you want to tell the entire story of this, Dance of Dragons, you got to give it the proper seasons and you have to give it the proper episodes. That way you can tell the entire story. You know what I mean? Like, I hope,
are you going to get into
it's a different direct. Good.
Yeah. Now, you first.
I'm like, it's not the same directors as. Yeah. So it's not the same directors as Game of Thrones. So I'm hoping that like the person that's in charge like sticks to their guns and like doesn't like go off and do other projects. That way they have to like rush things, I hope they take the care with the lore because it is, a beloved series. And I feel like this series can be popular, if not more popular than the original Game of Thrones. It has the potential for sure.
Yeah. And I feel like we know enough about some of the characters and enough about this old lore from the original Game of Thrones that it makes it really intriguing. I mean, I could not wait for it to come out. Like the night it came out, there were so many people I feel like trying to watch it, like it kept kicking me out. And and I kept trying. I kept going at it for like an hour. Because I really wanted to see it.
And I do like those like because everyone's watched the original Game of Thrones, like when you're watching those first like couple of episodes, seeing things that are from the original series and then just tweaked a little bit differently because obviously this is a prequel, happened like 300 years prior. So like seeing the dragon pit in that arena where like in the original Game of Thrones it's all burned down, it's rubble, it's not being used, or like seeing the way the throne was in Game of Thrones but how it originally was 300 years ago, like
because it had a
and it's
lot
still
more
like
swords, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it's still not entirely accurate. Like the visualization and the description of the throne is much more massive and like daunting. Okay. But
I see.
And then like little subtleties here and there about like lore that you didn't know about from like the Viserys's dragon dreams and like the whole prophecy that ended up like flowing over to Game of Thrones. And even I don't know if you know this, do you know the reason why like Viserys kept on getting cut by the throne? Has that been explained to you?
No.
So there is I don't know if it's like a tale or a prophecy or whatever, but because Targaryens have only ever sat at the throne in this period of time, and will only sit on the throne until Robert Baratheon, takes over. In the eventual future, it's all Targaryens from there until then. Like Baratheon was the first non-Targaryen king, and so the thing with like you notice in like the first 3 or 4 episodes that Viserys keeps on getting cut on the throne, like by like the swords or whatever, and they end up being like non-healing wounds that won't ever heal. So the lore behind that is that if the throne doesn't think you're worthy of being king, it will cut you. Like,
That's cool.
And so like they
I wish it
paid
cut
that off. So like they paid that off in the series with it constantly cutting him and stuff like that. Like it's foreshadowing that that the throne and the realm, because they don't think he's a worthy king or whatever, or the throne doesn't accept him anymore. So
now, did he have like leprosy or a like flesh-eating disease?
I think it was
I need
leprosy.
to Google it. Leprosy? That's what I thought too. Precious and I were going
I'm
back and
pretty
forth.
sure it's. Yeah, I think it was leprosy. Man, but man,
I guess it's Game of Thrones. It could be anything, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the wait till you see the eyeball thing if you haven't seen that yet. It's insane. It's really gross. He's just like missing part of his face. It's pretty disgusting. That's really all I have for today. It's been a long day.
Is there anything anything you're looking forward to watching in the future, or not really? It's in that weird lull where like.
Yeah, I just started. It is called Peripheral, I believe. And I mean, we've always been gamer. Well, me a little bit longer, and into now, because you kind of quit on me. But it's a gaming show, and it's in the future, and this girl puts on this like headset, and it's an immersive experience. So it's really cool. I'm only 2 episodes in, but it's a really good show because it ends up actually not being so game related, but it is game related. It's really cool. It's kind of like Player One, sort of, but with a rated R twist. It's really good so far.
Boobs and wiener.
Yeah, boobs specifically. It's really good though. More like a lot of just mass shooting and blood and guts, and it's really good. It's
I have to pick it up.
Yeah, it's on Prime, so it's easy to get to. It's really good.
And we're back. Well, for a very short moment, as you could probably tell, Matt froze, and I was left here alone, and he's having some storms over there. So I think that the storm is telling us we should probably wrap up. So I just want to thank everyone for coming out and listening to the Cigar Advisors podcast. I hope we were able to bring you some great information. Hopefully, we were able to entertain you with our little talk about Game of Thrones and House of Dragon and stuff going on in our lives. Until the next episode, my name is John from the Cigar Advisors. You can find me on TikTok and all this other Instagram and whatnot.
Good luck hunting me down. You're not going to be able to find me.
And that is Matt. And that is Matt. See you guys. Bye.